first glance, it's almost like looking at the Grand Canyon in America, but then when you actually start to really understand what you're looking at, it hits you even harder, what's happened here, what's happening here.
It's like the Wild West. It's mud and pigs and people. The guy said, when I lived here, the Wapitaway River was as wide as this sluice area. And the water was clear. And there was jungle all around. And now it's just rocks.
This is the place where you have basically the highest numbers of any species you can think of. This is Noah's Ark. You need solution. Most of the income for this country is based on extraction of natural resources.
It literally reminds me of a war zone after a battle.
We are at the edge.
Childhood, a time of innocence. But not for every child. Not if soldiers come and steal you away from home. Not if you were forced to commit terrible atrocities, even against your own family. Imagine how it affects a child to grow up with guns instead of families. This is the story of child soldiers and their struggle when war is over.
The power of the place is inescapable, and a long way from its humble origins as a graveyard. For nearly 2,000 years, its story has captured the imagination of millions. It is the smallest sovereign nation, and yet one of the most powerful. If it had a gross national product, it would be measured not in money, but in souls. It is the seat of power of one of the oldest continually running organizations on the planet. It is a divinely inspired human invention known as the Vatican.
He drifts to a different drummer, Felipe Letterston, a sculptor forging statues of native peoples who may one day be no more.
Well, other people have entered here for their gold, for the wood, for the rubber. Others have been in here for faith. Me, I'm going there to applaud and to say how beautiful you are. And I think I've been very lucky to meet these Indians, and they've showed me things we've lost.
Felipe Letterston searches the Americas for indigenous tribes that have so far held on to their traditional costume and culture. But those tribes are dwindling, surviving only in the most remote regions.
Charlene Coffey Alexis was 9 years old on Black Sunday.
I had gone over to my grandparents' house carrying an empty pail, and I wanted to get some milk.
Back home, Charlene's mother, Ruby Pearl, noticed a storm gathering on the distant horizon, bigger and blacker than any she had ever seen.
It was 100 miles wide in parts and 5,000 feet high, a mile high. So you'd see this giant brown wall, this giant mountain wall moving down towards you.
I was watching the wildflowers along the road. I really wasn't aware of the cloud behind me until my mother came up in the car. I remember thinking, how are we going to get to the house? Couldn't see, couldn't breathe, and yet you had to keep on going.
Once they reached the house, Charlene, her mother, and little brother Lionel headed straight for the storm cellar.
It was the feeding off of Mother's panic that really scared me.